They say that the total length of a coastline depends on what measuring stick you use to measure it with. And if you measure it by bike, boy, is there a lot of coastline.
Boy, this is beautiful. Where are we today?
World's End. So we're going through World's End, and then later on, we're going to be going all the way up this long peninsula, which goes all the way into Boston Harbor. We're going to get a great view of Boston. We're going to go all the way to the tip of Hull. Then we're going to turn right back around, take a different route back along the peninsula, and we're going to make it all the way to Cohasset. So not very far from point A to point B, but a lot to see along the way. Stick around. Can't wait to show you everything.
Welcome everybody, we're going on another adventure and this one's going to be really fun. We're going to the end of the world, World's End here in Hull, Massachusetts. We're hopefully going to end up in Cohasset, Massachusetts. So this should be a lot of fun, and a lot of people have asked me how we get here. If you look to your left, you're going to see the Ford F-150 Lightning. We pack that up with the 3 bikes and we bring it wherever we go. And there's a really nice parking lot here. We're going to get going. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, so I think that parking lot is a great starting point, but again, you can take a ferry, which would be really fun to do as well because they allow bikes on the ferry. So we'll put a link down below to the ferry if you want to take that as your adventuring transportation. But here we are in World's End, and this is just a hidden gem. Jesse's about to throw the drone up so you can see kind of in relation to Boston where we are, but I was so surprised immediately as we started driving in.
Yeah, there were these beautiful lawns with beautiful trees, and you have all the water around you. It's really, where else are you going to go and get this experience?
I thought that this was private land or something. I mean, when we were riding on it, I thought, like, why are there not hundreds of houses built on this? So whoever took the time to make sure that this stayed conservation land, hats off to you, because you can imagine what this would look like if they didn't.
Yeah, this is a trustee's property, and there's a lot of trustees stuff right on the coast. Very pretty, well kept. And you'll see lots of people doing work on the property while we're there.
It was really well kept up.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about, if you are a dog lover, you have dogs, this would probably be a wonderful spot. So this was after the summer. This was, I think early September. So very quiet. Mm-hmm. This is midweek, midday. So keep that in mind. This is probably as quiet as it's going to get. But plenty of space here and plenty of space to throw a Frisbee for your dog. So they do allow dogs here. And I would just say, bring a dog.
Yeah. So really cool. I got to throw up the drone and we get to see where we're going to be biking today, giving us a little bit of a preview. So what we're looking at now is Nantasket, and this is essentially the peninsula that leads all the way to Hull. Hull is right at the very end of this very long peninsula that juts out into Boston Harbor. Really interesting place because, again, there's only one road in, one road out, and that makes for a very quiet neighborhood. So it's a lot like Nahant in that way. We had an episode where we actually got to ride out to Nahant as well. This is a little bit bigger than Nahant, so there's quite a few more people around, so there's more businesses and stuff like that. It's a little bit less private, I would say.
It reminded me of Winthrop, which is another town we're going to visit on this series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Massachusetts, now that I've traveled more in my life, is such a unique place. We're kind of used to it because we grew up here, that all these towns are so coastal and cool. But if you're not from here and you go for a bike ride here, you're going to just, I don't know, I think it's going to really stick with you.
Yeah. And you can see where we ended up right there at the end. And you can see Boston in the background there. So it's cool. Hard to get to from Boston. It's almost like an hour away, even though you're well within viewing distance of it. And that's because you have to kind of go around.
I feel like if you asked 100 Bostonians if they've been here, you'd be lucky to meet 2. Like, it really is off the beaten trail.
Yeah.
I mean, you caught a plane landing at Logan Airport with your drone shot.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. All right. So we're headed back from kind of the furthest point off of World's End. So I guess we made it to World's End. We're headed back now, and we wanted to take a slightly different route back.
So we went up the hill, which I got to tell you, this hill here, it looks small, but
we barely made it up the hill, I'll be honest.
Without an e-bike, yeah, there's no way I'm making it up there.
No way. Yeah, we got this really nice view from the hill. And again, just a really...
Bring a picnic.
Yeah, bring a picnic basket. Bring a picnic blanket. When else are you going to have this opportunity? Where else are you going to go to get this kind of view? So we were sort of headed straight towards the exit there. We decided to go kind of around the way towards the parking lot again, kind of the way we came in. And then we're going to head out from World's End, have to take some roads, but then we're going to head to Nantasket on our way towards Hull.
And yeah, that was all hard pack. Looked really smooth, but keep in mind you're looking at it at 10 times speed, so it was pretty bumpy, and I'm really glad that we had fat tire bikes with suspension. I'm sure you could do it with a mountain bike, but just keep that in mind. Now that we're on the road, obviously a lot smoother, but as Jesse said, there's no shoulders here. It was quiet because, again, we're midday, but as we approach rush hour, you'll see that the traffic will pick up a bit.
So here we get to turn onto a, basically it's a sidewalk, but nobody's walking on this because it's like a mile and a half before you get to anything else.
And I know it's not cool to ride on sidewalks, but in certain cases like this, I don't want to ride on a 2-lane road where they're going that fast and there's no marked bike lane. So we're very considerate if people are walking, in the opposite direction or whatever. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And this was a pretty good biking route because it meant that we were kind of kept away from traffic.
Yeah, protected.
Nice and safe. And here we're kind of pulling into Nantasket. I think that this was a great little find to go from World End to Nantasket. And Nantasket has plenty of parking, so if you want to start your adventure there as well, that could be a possibility.
Especially off-season.
Here we're pulling into where we ate earlier.
So that last section was surprisingly good.
Yeah, there's a nice little sidewalk.
Nice little sidewalk. A lot of it, we actually had a lot of space, which was really nice. We went extra 2 or 3 feet of grass in between us and the cars, and then it got a lot narrower. It's just, that was a really nice way to be able to get that way. It wasn't particularly scenic or anything, although really good views off to the side.
Yeah.
Really good for as busy as a road as that is. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be. That's the one road in and out of this place. So,
By the way, we just had lunch at Jake's Seafoods, which has a nice little deck and a view. So if you're hungry over here, that's a nice place to stop.
yeah. So now I'm going to check the map, and I think we're going to head along the beach as
nice.
we head up
And up Hull. So when we were in World's End, was that technically Hull or was it not?
I don't know.
We'll tell you here on the map.
Yeah.
I see a bike, so let's follow him. Go!
So here we go, we're headed towards the beach, and we get to ride right along the beach. There's this nice wide thoroughfare. You get to see the waves crashing. You get to see everybody kind of relaxing at the beach. It was pretty late in the season, but I think a lot of locals, head down and finish up their tan for the year. We had to kind of cross the street here just because it was a parking lot and we didn't want anyone backing into us as we were biking along. But here we got to continue along the beach. Really nice, really beautiful views as we came up Nantasket.
And again, all of the adventures we're doing this season were on fat tire bikes. You don't necessarily have to be on them. We'll try and mention when we think something better would work or something wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a scooter would work that well on this particular trip because there is a lot of sand and we're off-roading it a bit. But I got to say, this route right here where you're riding along the beach was fantastic.
And you're not supposed to take a car here. I think there was a sign that said like no stopping for longer than 10 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, especially in the summer, they, I'm sure, would call the cops if you did.
It sounded like you'd be shot. So it's nice to be on an e-bike. It looks like you belong there. No one's questioning, you're not obviously not going to be blocking traffic or anybody.
And you can stop. I mean, if you're in a car and you want to stop to take a picture or get out and stretch your legs, you can't.
Yep.
But with an e-bike, you can. It's so fantastic. The other thing is I felt like we're going back in time. This felt like we're going back into the 1950s. I felt this before when we were in Nahant.
Mm-hmm.
But here it just, I don't know, it's just feels like a very slow speed community.
And take a look at this. I mean, we're on this path which you're not supposed to take a car. They put telephone pole in the way, so you can't drive your car. It used to be a road, and then they took it over. But we were able to ride our bike through, which was really cool. So here we're riding up Point Allerton, and we're going to get a really great view in a second.
Again, while you're watching a video, it may look easy to be going up a hill, but it's not. But with an e-bike, it is.
All right, so we're in Hull. We're at Allerton Point, and I thought we'd just bring you, a minor little view. I don't think the camera's going to do it justice, but this is such a cool spot. And I just don't think you can take the car here. No, you could not drive on those other side streets we were on, because if you stopped for even 10 seconds, you'd be in trouble. So it's nice to be able to bike it. And we're heading right now to Hull High School, which should have, I think, one of the most beautiful views in America. So let's go see if that's true.
Yeah,
That view was incredible.
That view was great, and this view was even better because this one was of Boston. This hill, man, I would not have biked up this hill. I would have completely skipped it if we hadn't been on an e-bike.
You saw us stopping, taking pictures. It's so breathtaking. We're not really capturing it for you here in the footage, but I can tell you this is a wonderful route.
Yeah. And this is, again, where the e-bikes shine. We got to be up on that hill, which means you get a great view. Now we're headed towards Hull itself. So we've been on Nantasket and Allerton this whole time. Now we're cutting into Hull. Just a little bit of a neck where there's only one road, and then we were able to kind of get off and to some safety away from the cars. This section was pretty good. I mean, again, you're not going to Hull unless you live in Hull. So really neat place to go because, no one else is going to go there.
So we're not at the high school yet. This is just one of the middle schools or the elementary school. We're approaching the high school coming up in a little bit. But I really recommend coming here as a little adventure. It's kind of like going to Nahant, just a place you're not normally going to see because there's, like you said, you're not going through here. This is your stop.
Yeah. And we're coming right towards the end of Hull.
All right, so we're here at Hull High School, and I promised you probably America's best view from a high school. So there's the high school.
Right.
So let's walk this way.
Okay. Oh,
Logan Airport.
yeah.
Boston. The whole inner harbor.
Look at this beautiful site. It's really stunning. If you look off to the right there, that dock, that first dock, that is, I think, where you're going to get brought if you take the shuttle from Boston. So you can actually get here on a MBTA shuttle during the season, and that might be one of the best ways to get here quickly, because otherwise, as Jesse, as you said, it's like an hour or more drive, depending on traffic. And traffic south of the city can be really bad.
Yeah, so I think that it leaves from the airport. So...
All right, so maybe not your first choice.
Look, if you're flying into Boston, there's a possibility that you could go directly here, which I think leaving from the airport would be kind of really neat. Hard to call an Uber from, for sure, but really cool.
So that's for a parent-teacher meeting at Hull High School?
I don't know. But yeah, so I think you can also take a ferry that gets you into Hingham. So, really neat if you needed to get to the South Shore. Again, Hull is not much of a destination, and I think it's because it's so far off the beaten path. But to me, that's what makes it the destination that it is. Right across the way here is Peddocks Island.
Yeah, you can take a boat that leaves from Long Wharf in Boston that does a lot of the inner islands of the harbor. That can be fun to do on a summer day. But honestly, having your e-bike with you, being able to adventure like we're adventuring now, is just fantastic. So Jesse, in this drone shot that we're looking at here, there's some what look like eggs over near Boston, near like the airport. What are those?
Yeah, those are part of the water treatment plant that is on Deer Island, and we have an episode where we bike right next to them. So we really got a lot of Boston Harbor covered. I would say with all of our footage, we've probably done, I don't know,
90% of it. I mean, because we haven't gotten...
Well,
we did South Boston, we did the airport, we did Winthrop, we did Revere.
Yeah, but I mean, we haven't gotten anything between Dorchester and Hingham.
That's next.
That's got to be
next season.
If there's a good bike route, and we will let you know. But yeah, really, what a cool place to be. You can park your car right at the end. I think that's nice if you were, traveling by car. But I do think that e-bike was a really nice way to kind of see a lot of the inner workings of Hull without having to kind of be in your car and disrupting people.
My tip is to leave as early as possible on one of these trips because you're going to want to take it all in, and you might want to stop and eat a couple times, and you don't want to be thinking about the fact that it's getting dark. So yeah, if you can start your trip earlier rather than later, I highly recommend that.
Now, I'm not sure when they hold football games, if anyone's ever paying attention to the game. If you've been to Hull, either as a visitor or on the home team, let us know.
Because, yeah, look at those bleachers. You're looking right out at Boston.
Yep, and you can tell that they had to design the field to where the home runs wouldn't end up in the harbor.
Now, as we head back towards Cohasset, I just want to mention a few things about helmets. You see that we're wearing helmets that have lights on them, and I highly recommend these. It makes us so much more visible, even in the daylight. Having things flashing on the back of your head means that cars, because your head is 5 feet above the ground, makes you so much more visible. And you might be thinking, well, my bike has reflectors or a light on it, but look how low those are, right? So having the lights on your helmet on the front and the back, so good. We use Lumos helmets a lot. I highly recommend them. That one time they save your life, you're going to be glad you spent the money on them.
On our way back here, we're taking a different route. Before we had taken sort of the more easterly, more ocean side view. Here we're much more in the inner harbor. That bridge that we're passing on the right goes to Spinnaker Island. I wish we had stopped in there. It's basically just a condo, which shows you what World's End could have turned into.
Exactly.
So
I'm so worried that these towns, when they have like a budget crunch one year, will go like, let's sell that land.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that the trustees are holding it.
Exactly. So yeah, different route here. And again, we're kind of going in between bike trails and sidewalks.
Well, here's the thing. If you give me a bike lane like we have here, I'll take it. But if you don't, then I have to kind of ride on the sidewalk.
And what I'm doing here is kind of getting off the main drag and taking us on this beautiful side path. Oh, and then it ends, but then it picks back up in 2 blocks. So we have to move down, and there is the beautiful view. And I mean, wow. I don't think you would take that in your car necessarily.
I wanted to keep stopping and just staring out at the water. That would be such a beautiful place to live.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that little section. Again, these spots you're just not going to find most other times.
See this hill we're going up now? Again, that looks easy, and it is easy on an e-bike, but I would have just said, Jesse, we're going to have to skip it if I was on a regular bike.
I know. We've done bike trips much shorter than this, and we've seen other people on them on non-electric bikes. And when we come back, because we're obviously flying by, we see them huffing and puffing, especially if they're not in shape. Like, we're not in the best of shape. Now, here is a really cool little cut through on Nantasket. It goes right by WBZ. The radio towers there are the radio station. And this puts us on this nice little sunset point, which is a finger that sticks out into the ocean that we saw from World's End. It's right across from World's End. So I know it hasn't felt like we've traveled that far in this episode, even though we've seen a heck of a lot. We're cutting back across Nantasket now, more towards the ocean side and the beach. We're going to ride up the beach, or I suppose it's down the beach if we're going north-south, and we're going to start heading towards Cohasset.
Really reminiscent to me of Winthrop, but instead of the planes passing over here as much as they do, it's a lot quieter. So if you're looking for a town to live in that's beautiful without the planes, choose Cohasset or Hull. And at the end of this parking lot, you're going to see another hill. And I just love that you don't have to think about them. Like, you just change the gearing on your bike, or you put yourself in a different power level, and you just boop, up you go.
You see that we didn't even slow down practically. So here was really fun. We were taking Atlantic Ave, which runs right along the ocean, goes through basically Hull's town hall. So I think we were in Hull technically the whole time. I think that Hull is more of a, it's a town, but Nantasket is more of a region. So we're headed towards Cohasset. So I wanted to take Atlantic Ave, which merges into Jerusalem Road. Really, really pretty, very nice houses.
And now I think we're officially in Cohasset.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful houses, beautiful views. As you can see, we're on roads, but because these aren't heavily populated towns, they're very quiet.
And that means that they're pretty good for biking. And we're able to pick up a lot more speed while we're on the road. You can see us getting passed by, a truck and stuff like that. It wasn't that bad, though, compared to even some roads that are, around where we live. And so now we've made it kind of in from the ocean, and we're headed on our way towards the center of Cohasset. Cohasset is a really pretty town. There's a couple of nice restaurants right along the main drag, a couple of very fancy shops. It's a very nice little place to stop by if you're headed, south. I think they have a French bakery where you can get macaroons and all sorts of fancy
Can you say
stuff.
there's beignets there?
Yeah, I think there are.
All right, so we ended the trip in Cohasset, beautiful town center here, and we're going to put the bikes up onto the truck. I kind of wish it wasn't over.
Yeah, this was an excellent trip, and I think that there's plenty more coast to take on bikes. It was kind of nice because, it wasn't particularly like bike paths, but it's very local roads, not very fast, not too busy.
Very relaxed.
Felt very relaxed and safe.
We didn't get to see that Fort Revere. I want to come back for another trip and do that, and I want to do like Scituate and some other towns.
Thank you so much for coming along for the ride, everybody. If you've got things that you know about that we don't, please let us in on your secrets.
Mm-hmm. Whether that be restaurants or other roads that we should have, gone down.
Yeah, because this is a little community here, and we got to help each other out with not only routes, but little things to look for, things to stop at. And please let us know places you'd like us to go check out next.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Please comment down below if you know of a high school in America that has a better view than that. I would love to know about it and go visit. And thanks so much for coming along to the adventure. We'll see you next time on Now We Venture.